Hello, everybody. Am I live? I believe I'm live now. I hit a wrong button, but I believe I am on and I'm live and we are together. This is a good thing. GlennAmbrose.com. Chickadee, check it out. Hey, can you see this comment? I can see it. That's a good thing. Ben is in the background helping me. Glenn Ambrose says, hello, everyone, which is actually Ben, because I'm not that talented. So here we are. Yes, say hello. Hey, Sarah. Okay, cool. I am live, and Sarah's here, and Ben is in the background. So, all is right with the world. That's it. That's all it takes. So, I don't know. Hi, Lisa. Hey, Laura. Great to see you guys. If you guys have any questions, fire them out. I am going to, I don't know what I'm going to do tonight. I really don't know. I might just go straight with the questions. Hi, Raina. Thanks for joining. So let's see. And Laura's saying hi from Chris. Hey, Chris. Nice to hear from you. Raina said hi. Lisa said hi. And Sarah said hi. I love you guys that are jumping on like regularly because it makes me feel comfortable. and oh, who's this guy? Who's that? Ben Barber, the man, the myth, the legend. So yeah, it's nice having the regulars on. So I know that I'm actually not not talking to the computer blankly, which I was doing right before the show started. Hey, and but then I figured it out. Tell Jim I said hi. Hope everything's going good at Brian's. Tell Brian and Kat I said hi too. Miss all you guys from Rhode Island. And Nicole, hello. Look at this. This is phenomenal. I love it. I love everybody saying hi. So yeah, like I said, we're gonna play it by ear. I know, I mentioned last week that I might be switching to a one topic, which I think I'm going to try that next week. And kind of formally this week, I'm going to play it by ear. If you guys have some questions that you want to fire out at me, go ahead. If you don't, I might go off on a topic. I have one in mind, so I can always lean into that. And when this is the part that I don't know how it's going to play out, because usually Ben was there to when my brain shuts down from a stream of information, he was there to pick up and ask me a question and keep moving. So as I experiment with going with one topic, I don't know how it's going to go. I might need to lean on you guys to spur me on with more questions, comments about what I'm talking about. So the interactive aspect might become more valuable, or who knows, maybe spirit or the universe or God's just going to keep a steady flow. That's the fun of it. I don't know how the heck it's going to play out, but we will see together. Hey, Christine. Thank you for joining. So like I said, we'll see how it goes. I'm going to start, since I haven't seen any questions yet, I'm going to start with what I was going to start with, which is authenticity. Very important. Oops, I dropped my thing. Very important topic. I think it's one of the bigger ones. in spirituality. I really do. I think authenticity is we'll be seeing it more important and more important and more important as the spiritual lessons grow, as we expand. The spiritual lessons are getting closer and closer to the truth. Like I remember 17 years ago, everybody was still thinking that like you needed to give away all your earthly belongings to be spiritual, like it's, and I mean, so the spiritual teachings have evolved tremendously over the last 17 years since I've been awake, and they're getting closer and closer and closer to the truth. And authenticity, I believe, is one of those. But I've got a question. So like, as of now, this is still interactive. So I see a question. I'm going to start talking about it. So Raina, what suggestions do you have to get out of doing and more into being? Oof, that's a big one. That's a daily one, kind of. That's a consistent one. We have to get out of doing and more into being. It's the best way that I've found is consistency, consistent breaking up of the momentum. So it's like understanding that the things that have control over us, like unconsciousness and habitual living and doing, is one of the it's a form of that. It's a form of unconscious living. It doesn't have to be, but it's become that over life, like over many years. And it is now. Most people, including myself, when we're doing, that's the time when we are most unconscious. Again, it doesn't have to be that way. We can do things while we're conscious. It's just difficult because we are conditioned to, we are kind of addicted to accomplishments. So that's how we get, since we're disconnected from source. Well, we think we are. We're never actually disconnected from source. We're always connected to source. But since we kind of have closed the door off to that connection, we're not connected to our source of true love, of true self-love, of true energy, of peace, of contentment, of everything that source provides. We are disconnected from it in some way, or seemingly disconnected. So since we don't have that, we have become addicted to accomplishing things. The pace that we live in the world today, especially in developed countries, is off the charts. It's insanity. And it's because everybody's addicted to, that's how we feel good about ourselves. Like if somebody says, hey, how's things going? You run into an old friend, you go, hey, how's things going? And they go, first thing usually they say is, oh, good, busy, very busy. It's a badge of honor being busy nowadays. We have to be busy. We have to be doing something. Otherwise, we're lazy and useless. This is the thought. This is the unconscious thought. So the busier we are, the better person we are. So, so we're addicted to accomplishments. So what happens is we feel good about ourselves when we accomplish something. Whenever we do something that we think we're supposed to do, or whenever we do something that we actually are supposed to do, like breathing, it doesn't matter if we're actually supposed to do it or if we think we're supposed to do it. We get positive feedback when we do it. So when we breathe, if you just get still for a moment and you just take a breath right now, just breathe in. And if you pay attention to the sensation in your chest, there's a pleasurable sensation. And that's a positive feedback from doing something that's good for your body. So it's built into the system. Now, we think we're supposed to be accomplishing something. Now, this is more egoic than spiritual. Breathing is a spiritual act. I'm not going to go any deeper into that. But and then accomplishment is an egoic act because it's very temporary. So, but we feel better because we think we're supposed to be doing it. So we get an ego stroke every time we accomplish something. Usually we're just going on to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing. Why are we're just going from one accomplishment to the next. And we're so addicted to accomplishment that we don't even usually allow ourselves to actually feel the goodness from accomplishing something. We're usually just on to the next thing. We accomplish one thing so that we can do another thing. Like, that's how fast we're going. We don't even like go, oh, I accomplished something. Oh, I'll allow myself to get an ego stroke and feel good about myself for a moment. We don't even do that. We're going so fast, we skipped right over it. We go, oh, I'm going to do something so I feel good. Well, it's not conscious. I'm going to do something, and then as we're about to finish, we're looking at the next thing that we're going to do. And then we want to finish this one so we can get to doing that. So then we'll accomplish that. So then we can do the next thing. Like, that's how fast we're going. We're not even allowing ourselves to get our ego stroke. I mean, we get we get little ones. We don't really feel them, but they're enough to keep us rolling. And then, we might get a bigger one at the end of the day if we accomplished a lot. But more often than not, we're beating ourselves up for the things we didn't accomplish. So we can go all day and we can get 30 things accomplished, consistently doing, never enjoying it, going from one thing to another. And then at the end of the day, we get upset because there was 4 things on our list that we didn't accomplish. And we feel bad about ourselves. I mean, how's that for a way to go through life? And I mean, me being over here in the DR, it's, I knew all this stuff before and I've spent much time working on it. But here, everything's so much slower and functions so much differently. And people are so non-attached to accomplishments that it's a whole nother world to try to get used to. It's me disconnecting from it even more. So I think, I like to go into an explanation of what's happening before I go into the solution so we can understand ourselves and actually what we're doing and how we're living. So, when we understand that, it makes the solution a little bit more comprehensive, I think. So it's just constantly breaking that momentum. So this is why I went off on that, was because I was trying to explain how fast we're going. It's a momentum thing. So it's whoa, 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 whoa. And like, we can literally go, that momentum can build over years and decades, and we never really stop it. So coming into the center of being stops that. It stops that momentum. And it's just like that people have explained meditation like this, maybe me. But it's also, it's breaking out of patterns. We need to be in control of ourselves. Accomplishing something, our ability to accomplish something is a tool that we are supposed to be in control of and be able to use. Instead, it's in control of us. The tool has become in control of the master. And it's the same thing with our mind. Our mind is supposed to be a tool. We're supposed to be able to turn it on and use it. It's a wonderful gift we have, but instead it's incessantly running. So it's in control of us. A thought comes out and we think that that's us. It's not us. It's just our brain spitting out thoughts. And we actually think that it's us. We didn't ask the question. If you're sitting there and all of a sudden your brain goes, oh my God, I should wash the dishes. Like, that's not you. That's your brain spitting out something. Like, you don't have to believe everything that it says. Your brain is in control of you. So to break the momentum as often as possible, whether you're talking about the brain through meditation specifically, or whether you're talking about getting out of the doing and getting more into the being, what it is, it's like the concept is you regaining control of you being in the driver's seat instead of the tools that are actually using you right now. So it's breaking that momentum. So when it's going, and we go, oh, okay, you can use anything to break that cycle. Like I use, like sometimes over the years, I've used bracelets, because I don't always wear bracelets. So if I wear one, especially that's like heavy or something, every time it like jingles or every time I feel it, it captures my attention. And it's like, okay, where are you? And usually I'm caught up in doing something. So it's like, okay, I have to disconnect from that and come back to the present moment. I think I talked about this a little bit recently, maybe on another live. So it come back into the first thing is gaining awareness. You have to gain awareness when you're caught up in doing, so you can come back into being. So, and then, but what happens, this is where I think where people struggle the most is everybody, a lot of people know this. They're like, hence the question, how do I get out of doing and more into being? Well, that's what you need to do. That's why you ask the question. So, but you're having trouble doing it. And the reason that most people have trouble doing it is because we don't put in enough commitment to it. So what happens is we go, okay, I want to stop doing this. And then the awareness comes up, because basically that's kind of like a prayer. When we say, hey, when we say, I really want to stop doing all the time and I want to stop being, that's like a prayer. It sends a signal up to the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, that you want awareness around this topic. And the universe is very good at helping you with awareness as soon as you ask for it. So awareness comes, and then you start using little tools like a bracelet to capture your attention, or or little sticky notes all over the place reminding you to come back to the center present moment, or Mind Bell, that app on my phone that goes off randomly, reminds me to come back to the present moment. Set reminders on your phone, do anything to capture your attention. And all those things, those are tools to bring you back into the present moment. Where people fall short, I think, is when they're busy doing and that awareness comes in, they feel the bracelet or the Mind Bell goes off, or it just, the universe gives you a spot of awareness and goes, hey, you're caught up doing. When we have those thoughts, we don't honor them. And that's the biggest problem. If you have to honor those, like, no, it doesn't, if you're in the middle of a conversation with somebody, depending on the person, you kind of have to stop for a second. And if you practice it, you can stop the momentum of your mind in a second, because in your brain, 5 seconds passes in 1 second of real time. So if you're sitting there, all of a sudden your awareness comes and you go, oh, I'm all caught up in doing. Oh, I have to come back to the present moment. Okay, slow down for a second, Glenn. Okay, all right, I'm back. You can do that. Like, once you get good at it, you can do that in like a second. You can go through that whole process inside of you in like a second of real time once you get good at it. So you can do it without even people noticing. You can do it in the middle of conversations and nobody will even ever know what's going on. So, but you have to do it. You have to do it. And when you do it, like, so that's, I was just talking about when you're good at it. When you first start doing it, you really have to slow down and stop fully. Like you can't do it like I just did. That's once you're good at it. What you have to do in the beginning is really slow down. So usually what happens is the awareness goes off in some way, shape, or form, and you go, oh, I have to center myself. I have to come back into being. And you go, okay, there. Yeah, okay, good. That was great. And then you go off and do your next thing. That did nothing because you didn't actually slow down. The momentum, your brain is going so fast. It knows what you're trying to do, and it knows that if it gives you an answer yes, like if you go, have I slowed down? If it spits out a yes, then it gets to keep going. So it spits out a yes. So you can't believe the thoughts that are in your head. If you're trying to break the momentum of doing and come back into being, you have to pay attention to how you feel inside. That's when you can tell if you're actually being or if you're still caught up in the doing. So when I do it, it's, especially in the beginning, when I'm all go, 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 I'll sit there and I'll be like, okay, my awareness will capture the fact that I'm caught up in my doing. And I'll be like, oh, okay. So hold on, I got to center. Okay. Am I centered? Yeah. And usually that yes comes in very quickly. It's like, wait a minute. I never listen to the first yes. Never. It's BS. So yes. Am I really centered? Then all of a sudden I feel myself center a little more. Yeah, I'm centered. And usually the yes is like, okay, yeah, you got it now. It's trying to push me back into doing. So that one's BS too. No, you really have to center. Are you really centered? If I'm really centered, I do not feel rushed to start doing again. That's when I know that I'm really centered. When I could either start doing or maybe not start doing. It's completely my choice. There's no unconscious leaning towards doing. That's when I know I'm really centered. So that, I think that is so important. This is why people have so much difficulty with this, is because they don't truly center. They just go, oh, I'm doing. Oh, I'm supposed to be being. Okay, I'll be. Okay, be. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Be. Okay, I'm be. Yeah. Good. Okay. Now I can do again. And you never broke the momentum. You never slowed down. Nothing ever changed. You just BS'd yourself, and then you start going on again. So you have to really take it seriously and really, put in the effort to really slow down and connect. And that is what makes the big difference, And then sometimes when it's really not convenient, like when you're about to finish an email and there's only like a few words left and that awareness comes in and you go, yeah, I'm almost done. So I'll just be in a few minutes. And that's why it doesn't work. When the awareness comes, you have to honor it. This is the way I usually say it is, there's two sides to every coin in this reality. So the saying is that God will do for us what we can't do for ourselves, or God won't do for us what we can do for ourselves, and those are both sides to the coin. So like God will give us awareness because we can't do that for ourselves. Like how are we supposed, if we're unaware that we're unaware, how are we supposed to become aware that we're unaware that we're unaware? Like, it can't happen. So, we can do little tricks with bracelets and stuff to help us, but the powers that be will help us with awareness but we have to pick up the ball and carry it. when that happens, when the awareness comes, we have to honor it as a gift and take it seriously. We can't just do it when it's convenient and not do it when it's not convenient. And we can't do it half-ass and just half-ass center and not fully center. So this is the difference. A lot of spirituality is like this. It's the difference between true commitment and not true commitment. It's the difference between true surrender and not true surrender. This is why people, addicts and alcoholics, everybody, they're such good examples of spirituality, because everybody kind of has people have heard it over the years, the basic idea of an alcoholic hitting bottom. Well, why is that such a common, oh, he's got to hit bottom? Why has that been said for the last 100 years? Well, it's because that's usually when the commitment comes. It's not because he actually has to hit bottom or she actually has to hit. Nobody has to hit bottom. We can take control over our lives whenever we want to take control over our lives. Suffering is not mandatory. It's just we're so unconscious that it's usually the thing that captures our attention enough for complete surrender and complete commitment to changing our lives. And that's what is necessary. It's real commitment. It's real surrender. It's really diving in and doing it, even when it's inconvenient, and really living it, not just talking it, but walking it, that, and that usually only comes because we're so fast. We're like, oh, I really want to grow spiritually. I meditate when I remember. Yeah, well, that's not going to get it. I mean, anything is good. I mean, you could, meditate once a month and you'll probably get something out of it. So, like if you're really looking for peace inside, that ain't going to cut it. We really, the commitment and in the day-to-day little things is really what makes the big difference. So understanding that, I think helps. So let me see if there's, do you guys have any other comments? Because this is a good example of what, I just went off on that almost a half an hour. So this may be the topic for this show, or who knows, I'll probably go another 15 minutes. So if you guys have a different question off topic, that's fine as well. Or if you have any comments about what I just said, and to carry on with it, that's cool too. Let's see, what's Sarah saying? I would love to hear your thoughts on childhood trauma, overcoming healing, especially when it can't be pinpointed to a specific event. It's so weird, doing this every week. And especially hopping from topic to topic, because I forget what the heck I talked about. A lot of this stuff sounds familiar, but I've also been doing a podcast for 8 years. So, so yeah, I can touch on this though. So let's see what's coming. Childhood. So really what jumped out at me as soon as I read it was when it can't be pinpointed to a specific event. Which this is something that I don't know how many people know. There's so much talk about doing our work and working through our traumas and all this stuff. And of course, a lot of that is very beneficial. But a lot of people don't understand that a lot of what we're working through is trapped energy. That's the emotional aspect of what we are working through. So depending on the situation, there is either a belief system, which is mental, intellectual, which triggers emotion, which is energy, which is trapped energy. I mean, thoughts are energy too, but stay with me. So those are the two pieces that generally we have to work through when we're working through trauma. We have to work through the belief system that was created because of it. Oftentimes that we're a victim of some sort of the event, whatever. or that we're not safe, whatever. And then the energy of it. So sometimes we just have to work through the energy of it. And when something can't be remembered, then a lot of times we don't really have to worry about that intellectual part. If the intellectual part needs to come up for you to heal, it will. But we have to understand that it doesn't always have to come up. We don't always have to relive what we went through. We don't always even have to be conscious of what we went through. So as a childhood trauma, or even if it's not childhood, maybe even a little later in life, if we experience a trauma and if it's impossible for us, if we cannot remember the specific event or what triggered it, then there's a good chance that we don't need to know. We don't need to know. Like, it could be either we just don't need to, we can release the energy anyway. It could be that we are being protected from re-experiencing it again, and we just have to release the energy. So just because we can't pinpoint something, we can't remember something, that doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean you can't overcome or heal from it. We don't have to dig in. If you look in and you can't find anything, don't worry about it. Just work on the energy of it. Just work on the energy healing aspect of it. And as you work through the energy healing, if it will loosen as that energy loosens. And sometimes the actual event that triggered it will come up at that time as it's leaving a lot of times. And sometimes it'll never come up. I mean, to be honest with you, most of what I've been releasing for the last at least 5 years, maybe longer, I have no idea what it's from. I stopped wondering. I stopped asking a lot of times. But I'll be driving sometimes, and all of a sudden like in the first few times I went searching. Half the time I don't even ask anymore because I don't really care what it's from. But like, I'll be driving, and then all of a sudden, it's like this energy comes up, this sadness or overwhelm or grief or whatever. And I'll just be like, oh, at first I would be like, what's this from? And I stopped getting answers. So it's like, well, I just open and allow it to go. I allow myself to feel it. Oh, it feels like heaviness in my chest. It feels like my throat's tightening up and it's hard to swallow. And and my heart rate's up and it's going into my head, and now I'm a little dizzy, and I just have to keep breathing. I mean, I'm feeling something release now because I'm just calling up whatever energy is there. So I'm actually feeling what I'm explaining to you guys. So, but energy, because I'm allowing it to be felt, it's transmuting into a different form of energy, and it's leaving. So, this is obviously what I just did was it obviously wasn't attached to some gigantic trauma. It was just a little trapped energy that I allowed to leave, which is fine. If you have a big batch of trapped trauma energy, then sometimes you can let it out in little bits like that. Usually the first few times it doesn't feel like that. Usually it's more powerful. Usually you're crying and snot bubbling and possibly hyperventilating and maybe screaming into a pillow or whatever. I've done all that stuff too. Sometimes it's like that. The cool thing is that you have dominion over your own experience. So whenever you've had enough, you can just shut it off. If you can allow yourself to feel that stuff. And when you first do it, it feels like if you climb into that pit and allow yourself to actually feel it, like you're going to go crazy. You're not going to come back out. You're going to fall into an abyss of pain that you're never climbing out of. And that's not true. That's just fear lying to you. The fact is you have dominion over your own experience. I mean, just to prove that, look at how many people are walking around their entire lives, living unconsciously. If we didn't have dominion over our own experiences, we couldn't live on this planet for 20, 30, 60, 80 years unconscious the whole time. I mean, that takes some serious willpower, completely blocking out truth, reality, and everything, and fabricating our own lies and lives. So believe me when I say we have dominion over our own experiences. So if you allow yourself to feel that stuff and it goes out and you just, I mean, you know, you're just sitting there and you can't take it anymore, you can just go, hey, I can't take this anymore. I need to shut this down for now. This is all, I did everything I could do for today. I have to shut it down and just shut it down. You can also go to a spiritual healer and have them, you know, do Reiki, release this stuff, release the energy, or it doesn't have to be Reiki. There's lots of different types of healing that you can do, you know, with professionals to release trapped energy like this. So you can do that. And then, you know, the other thing, I kind of alluded to this a moment ago. Sometimes if it's a deep trauma, like it is, I know I said fall into a bitter morass of self-pity or, you know, something like that where you don't think you can come back out of it. Like sometimes the traumas, and I've had a couple of these where I went to go in and I mean, it was not just overwhelming sadness and fear. It was mind-boggling. It was overwhelming. It was like, I can't even describe it. I can't even describe how much sheer, just black, horrible, vicious, severe pain, heart-wrenching, blood-curdling crap there was. And I was like, there's no way I'm going into that. There's no way I'll come back out. There's no way. I mean, it's just way too much. And I backed away a few times from going in until I couldn't take it anymore. Until I was willing, I just was like, I'm not living like this, because I had already awoken. This was maybe 7 years later or something. And I had a taste of living spiritually. And I was like, I did not awaken to live and walk around in this much pain. There's no way. So I don't give a crap what's on the other side. If I dive into this batch of hell and never come out and end up just drooling in a corner on myself until I die, okay, I'm okay with that. I would rather do that than live like this another 6 months. I'm not living like this for another. So I dove in, and that was, you know, that was when I was hyperventilating and all this stuff. And then all of a sudden I was, you know, I was like, I can't do it anymore. And then all of a sudden it shut off. And I was like, are you kidding me? I could have said that 10 minutes ago. I didn't know I could just turn it off whenever I wanted, you know? So then I went back in a few days later and I got rid of more of it, and a few days later and got rid of more of it. So you can, you know, you can work through this stuff without knowing. So you don't need to know the specific event. And if you do need to know, if it's going to be healing for you to know what the specific event, like I said, it will arise at some point if it's necessary, but it's not always necessary. So don't worry about not knowing, you know, not being able to pinpoint it to a specific event. It's really about the energy. This is why, like, after, you know, my initial awakenings were through 12 steps, which again, a lot of people know, that, you know, the basic process, like you do a moral inventory and you go into your fears and your resentments and all this stuff, and then you talk them out with the person. So after I went through the steps and then you make your amends and all this stuff, after I did that stuff, people were like, how do you talk about all the horror that you went through and all the things that you've done and all this stuff without any shame, guilt, or any. And it's like, well, I released the energy when I processed it. So to me, thinking back about old times like that's it's kind of like talking about another person, because there's no energy attached to the event. The energy attached to the event was released. I still have the memory of them, but it's just, I can talk about them very matter-of-factly because there's no energy attached to it. So the biggest thing is about releasing the energy. It's not necessarily about knowing. And if you do need to know, it will arise as you go. So let's see what we got. Jessica Gray, I'm glad it's clicking. And Ines, yeah, she was there, and look at her now. Yeah, she's over here in the DR doing all kinds of spiritual events. So hopefully we're going to be making some drums together soon. That's looking good for the end of this month. So, and she says, yes, you can. So yeah, she's done, I don't know her whole story, but I know that she's done a lot of spiritual work. So thank you for your input. It's good getting it from more people than just me. And what did Raina say? On a side note, I found the untethered soul to be very helpful in regards to getting control of all our thoughts. Abso-freaking-lutely. The untethered soul is in my top 3, and that's one of the reasons. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend it. My top 3 are The 4 Agreements, in no particular order. The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz, The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer, and The Power of Now, and A New Earth. It's 2 books, but they're both by Eckhart Tolle. I mean, and really, I mean, all of those, they're very profound. They're very simple, and they really hit it well. They hit it well. Yeah, The Untethered Soul is just phenomenal. And that was, I met Michael Singer as soon as I moved to Florida a few years ago. I was down here. I was like, I am not moving to Florida and not going over to his place and meeting him. So that I did that when I was like down there like 3 months, I think. Very nice guy. So humble and peaceful. It's amazing. Yes. Medicine drums. Absolutely. So we're at 7:45. So I think I'm going to wrap it up. An hour is kind of too long. Not for me. I can babble for God knows forever. But I think just for people listening, I used to do a half an hour, which I may get back to a half an hour. But these, if they're interactive like this, I might keep them around 45 minutes. But I think I'm going to try to wrap up around then. So I guess, what did we talk about, guys? We were going to talk about authenticity. We did not. And we dove right into the question, and it turned into a whole show, which is cool. Getting out of doing. So I gotta just make a note. Get out of doing into being. And then transcending childhood trauma. Yeah, I gotta jot this stuff down because I gotta know what we talked about. So when I release these things, you're very welcome. You're very welcome, Sarah. And thank you, everybody, for listening. I'm going to wrap it up, and I will talk with you guys next week, I guess. And I've got some big news coming soon. Yeah. That's my teaser. I'm gonna throw it out there. Some big news about what's going on in my world that I think you guys will get a kick out of. Some of you already know. So thank you, everybody. Thanks for listening. And since I am not, my brain isn't working tonight. Well, my notes aren't here. Oh, yeah, they're right in front of me. Okay. So, yeah, check me out. And Janice, you're very welcome. Janice has been listening regularly too. That's so cool. People I grew up with. All right, everybody. Thank you. Check out my website for everything new coming up. I do have I have a ton of stuff to tell you guys over the next like 2 or 3 months. It's going to be awesome. So if you're not on my email list, just go to my website and sign up because, yeah, there's going to be some big, I'll tell you some stuff on here, but there's going to be some really cool stuff coming out soon. So, all right, guys, thanks for watching, participating. I will talk with you later. See ya.